Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this live Q&A with the creative team behind Rhiannon Faith's company's DROWNTOWN. My name is Anna Dominion, and I'm an assistant producer for theatre and dance at the Barbican. We are thrilled to be presenting the world premiere of DROWNTOWN. It was a delight to watch this stunning and powerful film tonight, almost exactly 1 year after the scheduled premiere in the Pit Theatre at the Barbican was sadly cancelled due to the pandemic. I don't know about you, but I'm incredibly moved by what I've watched this evening. A huge congratulations to Rhiannon and the whole team for the release of DROWNTOWN. Thank you to the Wellcome Trust for supporting this presentation of DROWNTOWN, and thanks to you for joining us this evening as we discover more about the creation of this work and its journey, the journey it's made to our screens. And with that, I'd like to hand over to Lou Cope, the dramaturg on this production, who will be chairing this evening's channel discussion. Lou.
Hi, Anna. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. It's really, really nice to welcome you all this evening. Gosh, thank you for giving us your time and thank you for joining us. So, as Anna said, I was dramaturg on the show, lucky me, and I'd like to introduce you to the artistic director. Rhiannon Faith is here with us somewhere.
Hiya.
So Rhiannon, we're going to talk to you a lot, but first of all, I'm just going to explain to our viewers what's going to happen. So basically, we have nearly an hour, let's say. We're going to spend the first half an hour talking to the panel, and I'm going to ask them lots of questions on your behalf, on the public's behalf, and then we're going to spend the second half of the session. Rory Davis from Harlow Playhouse is going to scoop up questions that people have sent in, and we'll ask the panel their questions. So people at home listening or wherever you are, as this conversation progresses, if you want to ask members of the panel questions, please do put them in the live stream on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you are, and we'll scoop them up and make sure as many as possible get asked towards the end. Okay, please do use the hashtag DROWNTOWN if you can, because first of all, that will help us find you. But also, if you need some time to let this show settle in a little bit, it's not always easy to say what you think immediately, is it? Just in the next few days and weeks, if you want to be part of the conversation in the way that we so hope you will want to be, hashtag DROWNTOWN, and that's how we will find you. All right. So Rhiannon, how are you doing?
I'm really good. I sat and watched the premiere with my mum and dad, my family, my husband. And yeah, I'm just, I guess, a little relieved that it's out there. It feels like a big secret that I've been holding, but I'm incredibly proud of seeing those, stunning performers on stage and the work that they've done and what our creative team and our production team have managed in the circumstances that we've been working in. But I just feel really grateful that we have finally been able to put it out there. It felt really timely and important to do so.
Amazing, after this whole long journey. More on that in a minute. Let's meet some of the creative team then that we're going to be talking to this evening. So first we have Adam Sheldon, who is from Big Egg Films. Hello, Adam. There he is.
Hello.
Hi, Adam. Adam worked with Rhiannon to turn the live show into a film. We'll talk to you in a bit, Adam. Thank you. Joy Griffiths is here with us. Hello, Joy. Hi, Joy. So Joy is the psychotherapist, is our psychotherapist, but is actually the company's psychotherapist for Rhiannon Faith Company, which is already fascinating, and we'll hear lots more about that in a minute. Thank you for joining us, Joy. Representatives of the cast, we have Donald Hutera and Dominic Coffey lurking there. Well done, guys. You managed to get off stage so quickly. Makeup. And finally, lurking somewhere is Rory Davis, director of Harlow Playhouse, who we will also be speaking to. Brilliant. How are you doing?
Hello.
Hello. Right, thank you, guys. Now we know you're here, we will definitely be coming back to you. So not here, but wonderfully performing in the film are, of course, Sam Ford, Finetta Oliver Mikolaska, Marla King, and Shelley Ava Hayden. And of course, we will also love to acknowledge the initial cast of the show: Maddie Morgan, Lewis Bramble, Cherie Coleman, and Tom Hayes, who were with Donald and Shelley in the first one. So crikey, well done, all of you. It's an extraordinary thing, and I hope you're all feeling really proud. Okay, we'll say goodbye to the rest of the panel now, if that's okay, Rachel. And we'll get stuck in with Rhiannon. My dear Rhiannon. So you said you watched it at home, not quite what you planned.
No.
I see you've got a nice frock on anyway, so I'm very glad to see that. How did it feel then? I mean, insane that you're there at home, but how was it for you?
I was very nervous. I guess, yeah, your first press night or your first night where an audience actually receives the work, you just kind of want to feel in the room how it's kind of landing. And knowing that we don't have, like, this isn't a preview, so we didn't have the option to kind of let it sit with an audience and then make little changes, which I might have used to have done. But it's a different format. And when I was watching it, I obviously missed the live theatre and the live experience. But I was just incredibly impressed and moved by how Big Egg Film Company were able to capture it. I mean, I've never done this before. This is all new to me, and they've never done it before either. We dabbled in a little bit with DROWNTOWN Lockdown about capturing movement for camera, but that's very different to trying to capture a live show. And so, yeah, it was a very fast process where I think we had a week to try and get it edited and get it out there. And it's just been a massive learning experience, which, you know, I'll keep and take with me. I think the more we are, I guess, working digitally, you know, the better it is for me to have those kind of skills. And yeah, I'm just really incredibly grateful for the whole team that was able to put it all together and support the ambition of getting it out there when we couldn't do live theatre.
Okay, thank you. Let's bring Adam in, shall we?
Hey.
Hey, Adam. Hi, well done. And how was it for you? Because I know it's been a fairly tight timing getting this ready. How was it to see it this evening?
To see it, yeah, amazing. You just see, well, the dancers, just such, you know, the energy that they had to just keep giving, and, you know, Rhiannon and the team as well, and my team. But yeah, to see that come across and feel like it's all one performance, and have that cohesiveness is a real, yeah, it's a real treat. I made myself just listen as loud as I could and sit here. But yeah, it was nice because we've had a couple of days of not looking at it, and then we've just looked at it for about 2 weeks. So it was like those fresh eyes. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. And, you know, I think, you know, I hope there was a huge pressure because it was something that was just worked on, and the performance was so good. And then it's like, right, okay, can you help us bring that to film? And it wasn't made for film, it was made for theatre. So, you know, it's never going to be as good as being in a theatre. But yeah, sorry, I'm going off on one. You told me you'd stop me if I
I will, but you're fine so far. You'll see my look. I know it was really important to you both that you didn't turn this into a film, you turned it into a filmed show. And of course, that's a complex thing. And I'd like to say that I think you did a brilliant job, because I did feel like I was watching a show, but a show plus, because you get the intimacy of the, you know, the close-ups and the different angles. But I never forgot that it was theatre, and I enjoyed that it was theatre, but also I was able to grieve a little bit that it wasn't theatre. Why did it matter to you, Rhiannon, first of all? Why was it so important to you to not make the film, but to make the film of the show, if that makes sense?
The show, the live show, is just, it's very powerful when you are sitting there and you're able to really connect with those performers, and especially the emotional life that they have on stage. It's when you can hear them breathe, and you can see the tears. That, you know, it's a very emotional show. They're going into their own autobiographies, and they're going into what their own shadows. Their shadow life is the, you know, black present bag that they're all carrying, but they're really digging in. And, you know, having that as a live experience or as a dance theatre show is the way that I wanted it to be shared. And so I didn't really want to then change that, I guess. I felt like I just hoped that it would have that same capacity to connect. And watching it, I really think it does. I think that you can sit and really feel part of their stories and their emotions, even though it is, you know, a theatre show. I was really impressed by how Adam was able to capture, especially with the close-ups and the, you know, the continuity of, you know, the emotional life of the show was really captured well. So yeah, I didn't ever think of making it into a film, actually.
Yeah. And Adam, what were the biggest challenges for you, do you think?
So I think I always see filmmaking as like someone does something and then you've got a camera and the camera moves, and it's the relationship between those two things. And you can change what that movement is by the movement, etc., etc. So it's about that distance that you're communicating across. And the most challenging thing was, you know, we were like, let's get this crane shot, let's get in there, let's do this, and you know, it was choreographed to be in the proscenium arch. It was choreographed to communicate across a certain space, and you know, of course, we're going to try and do everything extra and make it. But if it, you know, if it doesn't serve the story, which is for a proscenium arch, it's no good. You know, we're going to alienate people. So I think that was the biggest challenge for us. And like you said, well, at the start, you know, this isn't a dance for film. We're filming dance. So it's finding that. For me, it was the challenge was, if you notice the camera work, and at some point you do, but you know, it's getting that balance between, you know, because your head is doing that. When you watch a theatre, you're going, I want to watch that bit. So we're making those choices, but we need to not be as harsh about that. So it's that balance, I think. We don't want to just do a locked off shot for the whole show, because that wouldn't work. It wouldn't communicate across that space. But equally, we don't want to be in closes the whole time. And remembering Rhiannon's points, which she had to keep reminding me, and thank you for being so patient, and my team. I can't take all the credit for this. They've been amazing. But it's about that network between them. They're meant to be a community. It's about their relationship. They're drowning, those things. And you can't show that on a one shot or a two. You can in a two shot, but it's the gaps, the distance between them. So, you know, I think you summed it up, Rhiannon. It's a massive learning curve, and you know, it's a really good experience. But yeah, the turnaround was insane. We always knew that, and obviously, you know, we had to be at peace with some things. But I really hope that we've captured some moments. But definitely, yeah, the challenges were me trying to not go too mad, and Rhiannon calming me down and winding my neck in a little bit. But yeah, a humbling experience, really.
Oh, brilliant. Well done. You know, as I say, for my money's worth, you really did sense the theatre, but I also got the intimacy, and I really enjoyed seeing the front of the stage, which of course is a really important place for us to see that crossing point. So I don't care how stressful it's been. It was great.
The whole team, Rue, who is editing, is just absolutely incredible. They worked so hard to try and really capture the vision of the show under challenging circumstances. I'm really proud of them, and they got it. And they, you know, they felt moved by the show too. And so we really wanted to, you know, work together to fix any kind of problems we were coming up against. And when I was like, oh no, we can't see that from this angle because we need to see that from front. Like, they were just so accommodating to try and help an audience capture what the intention of the show was, and the themes and the narrative.
And I have to say as well, the cast, sorry, I'm doing that thing. You give me your look. I don't know. Yeah. Or the cast quickly, the cast though as well, with the director and stuff, obviously we would say, can you do that again? Can you do that again? And we would not normally shoot chronologically as well. So for them to be able to like just turn things back on again. And that middle section is a beast. How people do that, watching that exhausts me. So to be able to just, you know, full credit to them, it's not their normal way of working. They would have just kept going as well. Like, yeah, they were just amazing.
Okay, thank you, Adam. Well done. I hope you're really happy, and thank you for sharing it, the piece with us, but also for talking to us this evening. If any of you watching at home have any questions for Adam, he'll be sticking around. I do feel like a Saturday morning TV host, finally career high. Rhiannon, okay, so let's talk about the show, slightly more serious subject. Blimey, because obviously I've worked with you on this process for a long time, but I have to say, watching it again today, I was, it's it's pretty brutal, isn't it? And I was really, I mean, I always knew it would be, but I was really hit by it, and it was really heartbreaking and pretty hard to watch stuff. What were the themes and the concerns that sort of started this whole thing off? What were you seeing in the world, and what did you want to talk about originally?
I guess I was experiencing lots of communities that felt a little bit broken. Like, there were loads of brilliant communities that are doing really fantastic work, contributing to, you know, supporting and helping vulnerable members of the community. But I was just seeing, it was around Brexit time, and I was feeling like everyone felt a little bit helpless, and that they didn't really know who was leading us or where we should look to for help or support. And, you know, the more that broke down from being this big thing, you know, you then experience people. I did some research on in coastal communities where people really felt lonely, and they were, you know, talking to me about how their loneliness had grown over the last couple of years, and it just felt very hard, and it was brutal to hear those stories. And I had some really lovely relationships with people that were, you know, telling me about their you know, emotional brokenness, as well as the kind of the society they're living with, and in. And it felt like I wanted to just look at those themes, like people coming together and people being broken apart. And, you know, why is that? I remember we started a summit where we were talking to sociologists and philosophers about authentic belonging, and we had Elizabeth O'Brien, that was an expert in that area of how people can belong. And that was something that was a real strong starting point. Like, why do people feel unvalued? Why do they feel like they can't be like they can't you know, deal with their shadow life, the difficulties? Why do people feel magnificent shame? Like, and why isn't there more tenderness? Why don't we treat people kinder? And, you know, why don't we see people with soft eyes? Why is there so much judgment in the world? And yeah, I guess those were the kind of thing. I was reading a lot of perennial wisdom, and I was seeing people talk about hope, and, you know, what could be the answer to the difficulties on the land. If there's a sickness, what are the symptoms, and how can we start to think about, you know, curing the disease? And the disease was in itself loneliness, I think.
It's so, I love hearing about it. I love thinking about it. It's such a, and they are such big societal issues, but you did manage to funnel them really well into this simple location with these simple characters, all there for different reasons, all there, you know, with their own different types of struggles that I, as a viewer, can, you know, see that through lots of different lenses and relate to it in lots of different ways. And I just, yeah, I think I'm really excited by how you managed to do the big in the small, which of course is where it matters. And of course, yeah, you mentioned, you know, this sort of began amidst the chaos of Brexit and also austerity. We also talked about climate change and the sort of the general, anyway, the fear and the unease around all of that, of course. And that was before COVID. You know, didn't see that one coming. How do you feel about it now? How do you feel about watching it in the place where we are now in terms of the development of COVID?
I feel like it just really responds to probably what people are sitting on their sofas watching this, like how they've been feeling the last couple, like it's like years, isn't it? It feels like a long time since we've been able to be in our communities and be with the people that we love and that we care about. And, you know, our identity falls within those places, and a lot of people feel a lack of belonging and feel lost. And I think, you know, that's what this show is about, feeling lost. And yeah, I think I think the isolation that people may have experienced this last year in particular is similar to the isolation that a lot of people, you know, in this country do experience all the time. Like their whole lives feels like a lockdown of some sort, perhaps. And the idea of, you know, the sickness and the disease, we spent a lot of time when we were in creation thinking about infected and being the infectee and how that sits within your body and movement, and also the shadow life that I mentioned, like all the things when you're alone and you're not connecting that kind of come to the, you know, on top of the water that sit there, the things that we feel about ourselves that perhaps are negative, like you know, shame and regret and you know, pain, suffering, and I think what I really wanted to, I guess, identify was that there could be superstar lifeguards. And in the speech that Dom offers is, you know, there are people that are running around at food banks, and you know, I had my little girl just as we went into lockdown, and we received a big cardboard box full of toilet roll and supplies, and you know, that was beautiful, and that is when community is working successfully and people are feeling like they are supported and cared for and valued, and there are superstar lifeguards in this world, you know, and it's perhaps time to acknowledge them and push them forward. And then if there are people that are feeling lonely, I hope the show would say, hang on, actually, we're affirming suffering right here. Like these dancers, performers are on stage showing you that, you know, we all suffer and that's difficult and it's hard, but, you know, that's part of being human and it's okay. And kind of, hoping that they are affirming that by doing so.
And it's about being seen and being heard, and also it's a call to action, I think, isn't it? To see with soft eyes and to become or to consider aspects of a superstar lifeguard in terms of our own responsibilities for what it is we do and don't do. Yeah. All right, lovely, thank you. Let's bring in Donald and Dom, who we have seen performing this evening. Hello, guys. Hi. Listen, congratulations again. Really, you know, incredibly moving stuff. Donald, I'm going to ask you first because you've been involved in both versions of the production. How has the journey been for you, and how has it been for you responding to these themes and creating material kind of in that landscape?
Well, we've been working on this for 2.5 years, and because I'm drawing on parts of my own life, it's a hard show to do. I wonder how hard it is to watch. The reason I'm willing to go to those difficult places is because Rhiannon is able to create a setup, a situation, a scene where there is discipline and, you know, professionalism and productivity, but we're really cared for, and that caring quality, I think it's rather rare. And on the subject of how difficult it is to do, I'm willing as a performer to go to the places where I will be exposed emotionally. I want to be emotionally true and available. That seems my duty to the work, to myself, to the audience, you know, to all of it. So I'll go there as long as I'm in a loving environment, which I am in. So how privileged and proud and to quote my character, overwhelmed I feel, you know, to be part of this.
Thank you, Donald. And I've seen that care in action, and it takes time, doesn't it, to build these relationships and to build this material and the trust. And yeah, I think, Rhiannon, you do a fine job of creating the space and the structure and the support for people to go there. Dom, so you have only joined relatively recently. You're part of the second incarnation. well done, amazing. Really enjoyed your performance. How has it been for you to join at this point and then dive so heavily into these, you know, big themes and you know, heavyweight material for you?
I've had a great time. It's been amazing. It has been really, really good. And I think coming into it, I knew it was going to be quite demanding, and like physically, mentally, but blimey, it's demanding. Bloody heck! Even watching it, I was like, oh my word, what happened? How's that happened? But oh man, yeah, it's just been a whirlwind. But like Donald mentioned there, like Rhiannon does a really good job. We got so, all of us got really close so quick, and I think like Rhiannon, you have a lot of trust in us, and I think that helps. And there's just nothing but respect and love that gets shared over Zoom, in the studio, outside of the studio, and I never felt. I was always nervous about doing it, but I never felt pressured, like really pressured. Like nervous that's fine, but like when you get the pressure and pressure's like, oh, I'm getting a bit scared now. Like I always felt at ease, because I think the way you talk to us is always just really calming and really clear, and it just made me, and I think everyone else, just feel really warm and loved.
I think it's because Rhiannon trusts us.
Yeah,
and trusts her choices.
I mean, they're both they're magnificent performers, and they are able to access their emotional life on stage. And you know, they really understood what the work was about, and they fought for it. They put themselves through, you know, emotional challenges and physical challenges, and they really worked for it, and they, you know, felt responsibility and autonomy for what they were saying to the world.
And it's one thing being able to do that with an audience, but it's another thing being able to do it without an audience, isn't it? For you guys to be able to transmit this through film is a real achievement. I'm going to have to move us on. It's really lovely, guys. Stick around. There'll be lots of questions for you. People watching at home, please, if you have questions for any member of the panel, please post them in YouTube, Facebook, etc. Thank you, Donald. Thank you, Don. We'll talk to you in a minute. So talking of care and support and emotional truth and emotional content, let's bring Joy in. Hello, Joy. Hi, Joy. So, Joy, you're a psychotherapist, and you are the psychotherapist for Rhiannon Faith Company, which is so interesting. Can you tell us a bit about what your role is?
My role is it comes in two parts, really, and they're both a joy. The first part is education. So I've been working with Rhiannon now for nearly a decade, and we all the work that she has created starts with introducing a common language of understanding how emotions and the brain work. So that's an area that we are very committed to, and Rhiannon programs in time for me to do some teaching with the performers. So that's really important. Another part of it is that all the performers and all the team actually have access to me for one-to-one sessions. And that's really important in a production like this, because the reason that Rhiannon can ask so much of her performers is that she's set a gold standard in the industry, which I'm very grateful to see is being taken up by more and more companies, by saying that, especially the theme of this particular show, emotional well-being or lack of it, that you're not going to ask something of a performer that if it then triggered something in them, you were then going to open a can of worms and just lead them to it. No, Rhiannon has recognised the necessity to say, actually, we're not going to knock any walls down till we put some scaffolding up. And that's part of my role. And the third and final part of my role has been to do checkouts. So every week, whether it's been, I used to used to be in the theatre. I miss the people in person, but after this year of technology, we all do it on Zoom, to do checkouts and to make sure that at the end of each week in rehearsal, whether it was virtual rehearsal in the theatre, and then the filming, that the performers together had an opportunity to reintegrate into their own lives. So they weren't just taking this emotionally challenging, hijacking roles home with them, so them get back into their own lives, to enjoy their own lives, to remember who they are, and to have a good break and a rest and have some fun, and then to come back refreshed and to get on with the work. And that was just a sheer pleasure, because we would do guided imagery and relaxation, and basically I'd send them all to sleep, which they'd worked so hard they deserve. And then the final evening of the filming in the theatre, we had the opportunity really to check out in person. That was the first physically present checkout I did with them. And it was just wonderful. You know, some of the performers, they put so much of their heart and soul in those performances, but they were so brave, and they used terms like it was cathartic, and they had actually benefited from being in a safe environment, in actually to unpick some stuff and to let it go and to move on. And so, you know, incredibly emotionally intelligent people, as well as very bendy. So does that explain what you wanted to
Yeah, it really does. You know, it sounds so incredibly valuable that, of course, I've seen you in action, Joy, and I already can't understand how every company doesn't have a Joy, and definitely think they should. Rhiannon, do you see it in the work, do you think? Do you see it in the material, and that your dancers create this support and this safe space?
Yeah, I think they just need to be held at the right time when they're doing really hard stuff. And it's always a question also, like, do you want to say that, or do you want to hold stuff back? And if you do, that's fine. You know, how far do you want to go? It's up to you. And it's really their decision, and I respect their decisions to also say no if they don't want to go places. And I just think that they're there for a reason. Like, they responded to audition call outs that, you know, said we're going to be looking at these really tough things, and the people that were chosen, the performers in the show, were just so, you know, clever and ready, and I think they needed this, or they wanted to go through something like this as a performer. You know, they probably are new to kind of this process, but yeah, I feel like I do feel responsible for the stuff I do ask them to do. Like, you know, if they are getting emotional, or they're going into, you know, a memory that caused them some pain, of course I feel responsibility to them, and to care for that and them, and to, you know, say thank you for that, that they want to do that. But they definitely have the last say, and then I make sure that Joy is available for them, and I don't force them to go and see her. You know, I encourage that she is there, and if they want to use her, and talk through any stuff, and then they can do that, and it doesn't feel like it's part of the job, you know, or that, you know, that I think of them in any way in terms of employment or anything like that, which, you know, in our kind of environment isn't important at all. There's no egos in the room. There's no, there's no intentions in any negative way. We just want to look at the bigger picture all the time. We always want to say, okay, this is what we're going through, but why are we doing that? We're doing that because someone in the audience might be sitting there and thinking, oh, you know, shit, I've gone through that too. And, you know, that really hurt me, and I couldn't see through that. And actually, oh, now I know that I'm not alone. And I think that they're, you know, really ready and wanting to have that impact also.
It's lovely to hear about the care you're taking within the studio, you know, as parallel to the care you're encouraging in the world, but you know, in the piece. And Joy, so yeah, you're working with some other performance companies now in a similar role, are you?
Several. I actually started a new show this afternoon, so it's been a busy
How
day.
exciting. Brilliant. Well, lucky them as well.
Brilliant. I think it's incredible that you know, the work that Joy is doing is very special and precious, and in the arts industry is, you know, completely necessary. And the fact that other dance companies are seeking Joy out is, you know, just excellent. And I think there should be more of it.
Can I
Yeah.
just come back to that? I know that because of my work with Rhiannon and artists that she has produced or worked with, she's planted seeds in this community. Rory at Harlow, all sorts of different ways, and obviously I'm delighted that I'm involved in this, but I can see that we a couple of years ago we had an industry day, and one of the artists actually brought a lot of this understanding about the need for psychological support in this industry to the forefront. But I really do feel that it was Rhiannon's imagination or creativity or foresight that says, oh, how about thinking about these people as beings first? You know, they're not puppets, and they need a lot more value and acknowledgement for their emotional well-being. So on the industry's behalf, thank you, Rhi. You've done a job there, girl.
And it is interesting, isn't it, at a time when, you know, there were conversations about valuing in the artists more and more, and, you know, treasuring them for who they are and what they are, and understanding that they are central to everything that we do, that it's yeah, it's only right that you take care of them. So well done, Joy, and well done, Rhiannon. Thank you. Is my sound okay? Is that okay?
Yes.
Right. All right. We'll say goodbye to you for now, Joy. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And yes, people watching, if you have any questions for Joy, you know where she is. Right, let's bring in Rory, please, from the Harlow Playhouse. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Rory.
So Rhiannon Faith is associate artist at Harlow Playhouse. Why is she, Rory? What does that mean?
I mean, if I can use the show to start with to quote, it's because Rhiannon is Harlow's superstar lifeguard.
I like it.
The reason I say that, and the reason it's really important for Harlow to have an associate artist and it be someone like Rhiannon Faith, is because of our vision, our initial vision, the whole way that this was set up. The reason that we programmed our first show with Rhiannon was because we aspire to be a self-help. So everything we do needs to be relevant and needs to help our audiences be able to signpost to the right organisations that might help them or self-help themselves. And Rhiannon's work really focuses and concentrates on that. So from our first commission together right through to now, it's really like clear to me, and I think our audiences and our communities why. And I think to have Rhiannon on board, it's helped with placemaking, cultural regeneration, and helped the Playhouse shape its sort of cultural identity better. We're branching out, we're being able to work with more partners. Our community is so involved with all of the projects that we've done, and that's amazing. And it always brings back to when we did a sharing of DROWNTOWN, and a young girl that came and joined us with that sharing with her mum. It was so nice because they've been on the Rhiannon Faith Harlow Playhouse journey with us, and you can sort of feel now that the audiences are understanding why it's important. And like I say, I think any town, any community, and again, it really links to some of the things behind DROWNTOWN, needs an artist at the centre of it to help regenerate and help build the community and help bring people together in sort of a civic community fashion. So yeah, I think that they're my main reasons why I think it's so important.
What a wonderful alignment. You know, well done you, Harlow Playhouse, for finding her, keeping her, supporting the work she does, and spreading it out amongst the community so much. What does that mean to you, Rhiannon, to hear that, but also, of course, to have this ongoing, we don't like to call it artist support, do we? Let's call it this artist relationship where you're really, really helping each other. What's that like?
Well, Rory's really the first, I guess, artistic director that has felt that the artist's kind of imagination and vision was as important as their own in terms of their relationship with the community. And we have and continue to have very long conversations about what we can be doing creatively to bring, value to members of Harlow Playhouse and Harlow communities. And we, like Rory said, we're trying to do stuff that really helps them signpost to charities and helps them identify other people that might be struggling and be able to signpost them. I think that the work that we did around our previous show, Smack That, making it a J9 venue, Harlow Playhouse were the first venue to do that and to say, yeah, okay, let's give that a go and train all of their staff into learning how to spot, signs of domestic abuse. And that then went to lots of theatres all around the world, all around the UK.
Oh, yeah.
But that was Rory making that decision that actually this adds value to the people who come into this space, and we want to make this a safe space, and we want our audiences to feel like they're accessing different types of performance that can have a pastoral benefit in some way, and it's just a very I guess equal relationship where we listen to each other and try and support each other's ideas and ways of growing as a venue, ways of me as growing as an artist. And I've not really had that journey with any other, person. It's just the fact that someone believes in you and believes in the stuff that's going on in your head that, that then can become something like DROWNTOWN or the Cloud Show or, the Care House, which is our next kind of ambition. Rory is holding up a kind of a way of how it should be done, I think, and how artists can feel like they matter and like that they, aren't, that they feel valued. Yeah, I think it's the value of artists.
A proper role in the development of ideas, as well as for organisations, as well as for projects, of course. Thank you both. It's a brilliant model, and as we say, it's spurring you both on and making the reach further and deeper. So it's really exciting. Well done, both of you. Rory, now you have a different job. I believe you've been gathering questions for us for the panel. Do you have some?
Yes, I did just want to quickly say, just before we go on to questions, that with everything and with the whole way the organisation works, it's about a golden thread. And I think for other venues, for other artists, other people that are watching, listening to this, that are thinking about relationships in their communities or with their regional venues, it's about ensuring that everything you do has got this golden thread to it. And like Rhiannon said, by working together, that's how you stitch that piece together. So yeah, I thought the golden thread was a really important thing to mention there.
Oh, lovely metaphor.
Well, and another word for a golden thread is a dramaturgy. That in there. Okay, thank you, Rory. Go on, share some questions with us then.
Yes, do have some questions. So the first one that we've got is probably a Joy question. So it's where can communities that watch this, and obviously there are trigger warnings on DROWNTOWN itself, but where can communities or people that might be struggling or need the sort of help that the themes that DROWNTOWN brings up, where can they sort of head for that support, or is there a self-help guide that they can use?
Is that a question for Joy?
Yes.
Can we have Joy back? Thank you.
Ironically, one of the few fruits to come out of the pandemic is the acknowledgement and the increase of support of people in isolation, because what was a rare and extreme situation in normal times during the pandemic became every day. There wasn't a day go by that people didn't talk about people's emotional well-being, their health, their mental health, and as a consequence, investment was made. And quite frankly, if you have access to a tablet or a phone or a laptop, which you probably have if you're watching this, you also have access to all the things that were put in place. There are helpline numbers, NHS helpline numbers. There are always those superb saints of society, the Samaritans, the mental health charity Mind. As I say, locally and regionally, all of those numbers are available online. Obviously, if you had any problems accessing them, then you'd be welcome to come back to us. But as I say, one of the few benefits was the acknowledgement that, yes, softer eyes are needed all the time. And therefore, if we're going to give that vision, who's going to fulfill that? And the uptake in volunteer roles was phenomenal. Those people are still there, though that help is still there. And I do sincerely hope and pray that one of the few ongoing changes from this last year, 18 months, is that people recognize how much value we all receive and need by this outreach. That volunteers step forward in so many roles, whether it would be practical, whether it be physical, but especially emotional. Even just knocking on a neighbour's door, just sticking a note through somebody's door, just reading on your local next door neighbour website, they're all over Facebook and what have you, that those things made a difference. They kept people going. Yes, it was all virtual. Yes, it wasn't the same as real hugs. So one of the things I would definitely say, and this is my prescription, as it is permissible, when it is permissible, and it is safe to do so, the thing that we have all been starved of, and the thing that we all need as human beings, it's actually a human given need to give and receive affection and attention. So the need has always been there. It's just that during a pandemic, it was actually acknowledged. The knowledge that loneliness is a greater killer. Now, I learned this when I trained decades ago. This is not new. That the thing that is a greater killer in society than even smoking or drinking is loneliness and isolation. That's shocking. But it wasn't until it came out in a pandemic that everybody heard that message. And now we know. Now there's information is power. We have the power to stop and have a conversation. We have the power to shake somebody's hand or give them a hug or invite them in for a coffee or whatever it is we're humanly capable of. But I realise, once again, I've got on my bandwagon, so I'm going to stop now. So I hope that's answered your question, Rory.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Joy. Really thank you for that. I'm going to move on because there's a couple more questions on here that I just want to get through. So if we could bring maybe the cast in as well to answer this with Rhiannon. Obviously, this experience was all created during a pandemic, during lockdown. How was the process for each of you, and how is that different from being in the room to what people are seeing throughout the screen today?
You first, Dom. Take it away.
Nice one, Donald. Yeah, it was hard because we did like the first week on Zoom, but I think that allowed us to proper just speak a lot and get, find stuff out about ourselves more, like speaking one-to-one with someone, constantly doing autobiographical writing. And it was hard, but it was very useful. And then getting into the studio was just beautiful. It was just like it was just great. Like I don't know, it was just a breath of fresh air, because having that intense week on Zoom to then just going into the studio was like, what? And it was like we already all knew each other really well, because we've had this big Zoom thing, which was intense but brilliant. And then when we were all in the studio, it was just everything was clicking and falling into place. And yeah,
we did a lot of brain work that week, didn't we, Dom?
Yeah, a lot of brain work, every day headaches.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
In terms of safety, I mean, I'm an old guy, so I've been jabbed twice, and I feel really good about that. But I haven't been out much in the world. I had not stuck things down my throat and up my nose, the lateral flow. Now I'm an old hand at lateral flow. So, you know, all of that just became part of what we needed to do to ensure that everything would be, you know, easy and cool, and that we could embrace and we could touch. And guess what? We can breathe on each other. But it felt really great. And what it led to is this feeling that I have. I feel like with this show, I've been given a very large, powerful, poignant, beautiful present, you know, a gift. But that gift came with needing to keep ourselves safe and secure and all of that stuff. So I felt really good about all that.
Yeah, and we had Kerry Andrews, who was our producer for DROWNTOWN, that was meticulous in our planning, and she worked with Kieran, our production manager, and they just worked so hard to keep everybody safe. And yeah, we had lots of instructions of how to do the lateral flow test, and we had to go up the studios one at a time in lifts. And so there were lots of little things like that, you know, were just new things. But we were just so grateful, I think, to be in a studio. You know, we had been so long. Yeah.
Thank you. And guys, all together, do you think from this process you'll take things going forward into whether you're doing live or digital projects in the future? Is there specific parts of having to pull together during this pandemic to get this piece up that you feel you'll take forward?
Well, I know for me, I'm interested in autobiographical work. I feel I've lived long enough that I've got a lot of experience and stories to share. And what I loved about this process, it was about finding the truth, but it also has a poetic, fantastical, theatrical language and frame. And that combination of the human truth and the theatrical frame is very special and meaningful. And Rhiannon's work, whenever I've seen it, always has made me cry. Now I'm in this show and I'm still crying more than ever. And you know, but they're you know, wonderful tears. So I take forward that I would like to think I can take forward that emotional truth, availability stuff, and working with, you know, my own life, other lives, and just and this show. I would love to do this show more live. As hard as it is, as demanding as it is, it's very rewarding at the same time. Dom, what about you?
I'll take forward. I think whenever I go into a process, I'm always willing to give 100% and just listen to people and crack on as much as we can. And I'll carry on doing that. But I think doing this particular work, like in the studio, we had time to break down at times. And it was people, everyone around us, like, it was such a tight group of people. And I think that only happened from us all being honest and trusting each other and having love and respect for one another. So I think I'm just going to carry on trying to spread that, and yeah, spread that love.
Spread the love.
Thanks. And I think that links really nicely with two comments that we've had made on the stream. I think there's a comment that says, "I think we all missed that touching moment of applause," and I think that's right. I definitely felt that, and I wasn't going to be on the receiving end of it, but I felt that as a audience member watching it. And again, from the same audience member, please keep working on the same production, because they do want to see it with a live audience. So I think we can take that away as a great piece of the work that you've all delivered. Rhiannon, I don't know if you wanted to come in there and comment.
You know, I definitely want this to tour as a live show. I want people to be able to experience how, you know, incredible these performers are. And yeah, the show is very now, and I think that it might do some good in the world. And so I'm taking forward, just being grateful that we could make this happen. We were at a point where we didn't think that DROWNTOWN would ever, you know, it was postponed twice, and we didn't know that it would be something that people would be able to see. And so I think we're a little emotional, a little exhausted, but just feeling very happy that we've actually been able to share this. So yeah, I think I'd take forward, let's hope that we can book a healthy tour for the show and take it to audiences.
Just one more thing. It's personal and emotional and psychological and all of that. It's also political. And I think that political sensibility is that crusade, you know, without making a, you know, using too big a word, a sort of crusading, savior, redemptive spirit, and an angry spirit. All of that political stuff is really valuable to put out there in this sort of way, I think.
Thank you.
I'll hand back to Lou.
Thank you, Rory. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm going to jump in because we're running out of time. But listen, well done, everybody. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Rhiannon, is there anything you want to say just before we leave everyone?
I'm just incredibly, you know, grateful for the creative team and the production team that got us through. Maddie Morgan, the executive director, for being at the beginning of the journey. You too, Lou, the work that you have contributed to this, even, you know what you've done. But I'll tell everyone how wonderful you are and how you have kind of, you know, always been to the side of the work, offering your support and care and guidance. So I'm very grateful to that. I'm grateful for how snazzy the stage looked because of Amelia, and the lights were beautiful because of Zoe. The sound by John Victor was just wonderful, and Molly O'Brien, who you know, was the musical director. And you know, there's lots of people that I'm probably going to forget, but everybody who's worked on this, Kieran, the production manager, kept everything calm and just made it a really wonderful working space. Big Egg Films were just so incredible in their, you know, support for the work and the way they captured everything. They had so many really nice camera shots that I had to say because you couldn't see the choreography from the front. But yeah, they are, you know, experts at what they do, and we're just so grateful. Rue doing the editing so quickly. There are so many people to thank. You know, the Barbican for helping us, you know, put this on and present it. They've been so supportive, and the work that the Harlow Playhouse do as well to, you know, help me as an artist not feel alone. Is just, yeah, remarkable. So if I have missed anyone out, I'm very sorry. To my beautiful dancers who have held this, you know, for the last however long, they are just remarkable, and the work that they have done and the gift that they have given me just by having spent this time with them is just, you know, overwhelming. And I'll be able to relax soon and be able to be a bit reflective about it all. I really hope that mostly the audience have been able to, you know, watch this and take something for themselves that may be worthwhile for them. That's what I hope.
I'm sure they have, Rhiannon. And so well done you. Well done to everyone in the team. Thank you for sharing the show with us this evening, but also thank you for this conversation. And thank you to the Barbican for hosting it all. Rhiannon, thank you for helping us to think about looking through soft eyes. That's what I take away from it. What a lovely idea that is. And I can't wait to see the show out on tour, and can't wait to see the next work you come up with. So well done. And thank you everybody for watching. We'll see you out there somewhere. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Bye.